When Trump leaked a private message, most people focused on the drama. I focused on something more unsettling, what it revealed about power, impulse, and the cost of saying too much. Power doesn't usually announce itself, but sometimes it slips, quietly, almost carelessly. When Donald Trump decided to publicly share a private message from Emmanuel Macron, I felt something I didn't expect. Not outrage, not surprise, discomfort. Because moments like this expose something deeper than politics. They reveal how leaders handle restraint, or fail to. I've always been drawn to global affairs, not for the drama, but for what they teach us about human behavior under pressure, about when people choose to speak and when they choose not to, and what those choices quietly cost them. Welcome to Stoic Silence Wisdom. This story isn't about who's right or wrong. It's about what happens when power meets impulse and what silence can still protect. If you value calm thinking in a loud world, subscribe to support this channel and help me keep creating reflections like this. That discomfort led me to look closer, not at the message itself, but at what followed. Because what interested me wasn't the content of the exchange, but the contrast in how power moved afterward. Donald Trump chose exposure. He turned a private channel into a public stage, transforming a closed-door conversation into a statement meant to be seen, interpreted, reacted to. It's a style of power that relies on momentum, on forcing the moment forward by putting everything out in the open. Emmanuel Macron, on the other hand, didn't rush to reclaim the spotlight. There was no mirrored reveal, no counterpost, no public escalation. And that absence is telling. In diplomacy, silence is rarely accidental. It's often a way of holding position, of refusing to let the terms of engagement be dictated by the loudest move. Watching these two approaches side by side made something clear to me. Visibility and leverage are not the same thing. One commands attention immediately. The other preserves influence over time. And once you see that distinction, you start noticing it everywhere, far beyond politics. And once you notice that difference between visibility and leverage, it forces a deeper question that I can't ignore. I don't look at moments like this through a purely political lens anymore. I look at them through something more personal, how power interacts with self-control. That's where Stoic thinking quietly reshapes the entire conversation for me. Stoicism isn't impressed by noise. It doesn't ask who dominated the moment. It asks something far less comfortable. Who was actually in control of themselves? Because there's a difference between acting with intention and reacting with momentum. One comes from clarity, the other often comes from impulse disguised as confidence. And the Stoics warned about this long before social media existed, that the urge to display, explain, or expose is often driven by the need to stabilize the ego, not the situation. What unsettles me is how easy it is to confuse expression with strength, to believe that saying everything proves authority. Stoicism challenges that instinct. It suggests that every word released reduces your margin of control, while restraint, chosen consciously, can preserve it. That idea doesn't just apply to leaders on the world stage. It applies uncomfortably close to home. That realization naturally leads to something I've been wrestling with for a long time. Why silence is so easily misunderstood in our culture. We live in a world that equates speed with strength. If you don't respond immediately, people assume you're losing ground. If you don't explain yourself, they assume you have something to hide. I've felt that pressure myself, The quiet anxiety that tells you silence looks like weakness, that restraint will be misread as surrender. But experience keeps teaching me the opposite. Silence doesn't remove you from the situation. It often changes the balance of it. When you don't rush to react, you force others to carry the weight of their own words. You give them space to reveal intent, emotion, and sometimes insecurity without exposing your own. This is why restraint feels uncomfortable. It denies the instant relief that comes from expression. It requires patience, and patience rarely gets applause. Yet over time, restraint protects credibility in a way reactions never can. Watching this moment unfold reminded me that power isn't always about asserting presence. Sometimes it's about refusing to be pulled into a tempo that doesn't serve you. And that lesson doesn't belong only to presidents. It shows up in meetings, conflicts, and decisions where composure quietly outlasts noise. When I step back from this entire moment, what stays with me isn't the message or the reaction or even the politics. What stays with me is the reminder that power is not proven in the instant. It's revealed over time. The ability to pause, to withhold, to choose restraint over reaction is not passive. It's a skill. And like any skill, it shapes outcomes quietly but decisively. The deeper lesson here is simple but demanding. You don't have to respond to everything that invites you to. In your career, in relationships, in moments of conflict, silence can create clarity. It gives you space to think, to avoid saying something you'll need to defend later, and to let situations unfold without your ego driving the wheel. Practicing this doesn't mean withdrawing from life. It means engaging with it more deliberately. I'm curious to hear your perspective. When was the last time silence worked in your favor? Share your thoughts in the comments so we can all learn from each other. And if this way of thinking resonates with you, please subscribe to Stoic Silence Wisdom. Your support helps keep thoughtful conversations like this going. If you're interested in exploring that kind of strength, not the loud kind, but the disciplined kind, this channel exists for that reason. Not to tell you what to think, but to help you notice what most people overlook.